Just a reminder, this presentation tonight is being recorded, so if you want to watch back anything that we have been through tonight, you're welcome to watch the recording, and I'll aim to have that out to you tomorrow as well as an information pack with some further information about this tour and what we've presented tonight. So we're looking at a 2026 entrepreneurship tour, and I'm really excited to offer this opportunity. It's been one that we've been planning for a while, and one that I think puts us at, I guess, the cutting edge of education in Australia. There aren't many schools that are offering things like this, so I'm really excited to be one of those schools that's able to offer an opportunity like this to our students. Just want to start with why an opportunity like this and a few questions around it. So obviously we are living in a time of immense instability and change, and the rate of change is increasing. And I think the more we can equip our students with real-world skills, applicable skills, the more we can show them how people around the world are innovating, the better off they're going to be. And so I guess starting with a bit of the research background to a tour like this. Melbourne University, their Graduate School of Education, publishes yearly articles and reports on how we can future-proof our students. And in one of their latest ones, they note that the most valuable learning is often that which connects students with real-world contexts and problems. And what this tour is aiming to do is to do that, to connect students with real-world applications of innovation and entrepreneurship so they can see them in action. We also talk a lot about our school idea of plus ultra and this idea of more beyond. And I think a tour like this thinks beyond the confines of the curriculum in the classroom and provides some real opportunity for global experiences that will unlock different futures for our students. And before I get into the nitty-gritty of the tour, I just want to note as well, in our Plus Ultra 2025 strategy, our strategic intent, two of our core ideas are this idea of building global citizens and this idea of innovation. And so in our Global Citizens pillar, what we're really aiming to do is to inspire our students to be responsible, engaged global citizens through the provision of experiences and communities that promote global competence. And through the innovation pillar, we're looking to explore innovative approaches and models of education, design thinking, innovation and enterprise skills, and entrepreneurial learning. And so this tour that we're proposing fits so well within our Plus Ultra strategy. It meets the goals and directives of the Global Citizens and Innovation pillars. So by now you would have seen my outline email that gives you a very, very brief overview of the experience and what we're aiming to do. And so just as a recap, what this tour is it's an 11-day tour to Seattle, San Francisco, Silicon Valley. And the idea is that students will be exposed to startups, to big tech companies, to see innovation and entrepreneurial thinking in the field, to experience masterclasses at higher education institutions in the US, but to really be immersed in what is a global tech and innovation hub, immersed in a culture of creativity and entrepreneurship. I was talking to some students earlier today, and over the last break I was very, very fortunate to be able to head to the US to undertake a course at Boston at Harvard University. And one of the things that I was blown away by and that I think shaped my thinking around this tour was this idea of being immersed in an innovation hub has a profound impact on what you believe is possible. And so one of my big takeaways from that, the classes were excellent. The colleagues and peers around me were fantastic. But the biggest takeaway I had was the inspiration and the drive that came from a trip like that actually came from being in this immersed innovation hub where you've got big tech companies working around each other, where you have universities connected to schools, connected to companies, connected to thought leaders, all in this beautiful ecosystem of innovation. And I think San Francisco, Seattle, Silicon Valley, those are similar to that, but on steroids. they are true innovation hubs. And so what we're hoping students will gain from a tour like this is, first of all, some inspiration. I think at the end of the day, if students come back inspired by what they've seen and what they've experienced, and inspired in their self-belief that they can go out and make change in the world, this tour is a success. We're looking for them to develop future-ready skills, all right, skills in creativity, learning how to problem solve and learning how to collaborate with one another. And as well, we're looking to give them some real insight into some of the global career pathways that we might follow. And I think one of the things that's been so affirming when I put the email out proposing this tour and giving the information about this night, the amount of parents that emailed back to me with their thoughts on places and connections they might have over in the US, in Seattle and San Francisco, was overwhelming. And so just from reaching out, it was obvious that already parents at St. Peter's are following a lot of these global career pathways, and the aim is that students will be inspired to realise that the same sort of journey is possible for them through a tour like this. So ultimately, in trying to sum it up, the value proposition, I think, for this tour is this, that the value is in experiencing innovation and entrepreneurship firsthand, in meeting the people shaping the future and discovering that the world is full of possibilities. And that's the pitch, I guess, for this sort of tour. I'm going to switch over to the LGT slides, and I'll welcome Marcus from LGT sitting down the front here. He will answer a few questions shortly. So LGT, Latitude Travel Group, have helped put together the itinerary for this. They've done all the work in, I guess, sourcing the experiences and working really hard to make sure that what we're proposing is something that is innovative and cutting edge. And what I'll do is I'll run through the proposed itinerary. And when I say propose, I mean that this itinerary has, I guess, some flexibility in terms of how it's implemented. What we have discovered in going on this journey is that lots and lots of people are willing and able to help in terms of sourcing experiences for our students. So this is our proposed and working itinerary, but I do have meetings next week with Trade Investment Queensland. I have meetings with a few different groups and workers over in San Francisco and Seattle to, I guess, ensure that the itinerary that we put in place is the best possible. And so there is some change that may occur to this one just based on some of the other experiences that we may be able to source over the coming months. So days 1 to 5 begin in Seattle. And Seattle is a really interesting place in terms of an innovation hub, but also in terms of what they're doing in terms of eco-innovation. And I think this has a real flavour of that to it. So we begin at the Stone to Steel, Innovation in Building and Construction, look at the Museum of Pop Culture. In the afternoon, look at the Space Needle. On the second day in Seattle, we'll look at the Museum of History and Industry program, the Melinda and Bill Gates Discovery Centre with a workshop, and then Pike Place Market Ventures program in the afternoon. Day 4, and this is probably the one that for students who have undertaken a similar itinerary to this one, is one that has received some very popular feedback, is the Seattle University Social Entrepreneurship program. And so being in and amongst the workshop at Seattle University, students have found incredibly beneficial. And then in day 5, having a look at some business networks and presentations and workshops, or an Amazon campus tour. And like I said, that day 5 in there is one of those days where we have a proposed itinerary, but just, I guess from the sheer generosity of people that have reached out with potential opportunities, is one that might be subject to some change as we develop the itinerary further. We then move on to San Francisco and the Bay Area, and I guess this is the one that possibly has the most interest for people. And look at experiences like the Misalignment Museum, behind-the-scenes tour of the Chase Center, sports and women's entrepreneurship programs, and hopefully a women's NBA basketball game. And like I said, this is one that might change depending on the schedule of the teams and when they're playing. It is important that I think we do a sports event over there because it is a very different experience. So that might be a baseball game, it might be a women's NBA game, but we're looking to do something in the realm of sport. Looking at a Bay Area green tour, walking the Golden Gate Bridge, a tour including cable car rides, looking at the Climate Centre, a really cool experience, tech innovation in fashion, and then a Silicon Valley tour with some visits to places like the Google campus and Stanford University. So the tour inclusions, this tour, the price includes, we're looking at 9 breakfasts and 9 dinners. The lunches will be ones that we source, and they may be student individually bought, or we might do a joint lunch depending on what we've got on that day. The accommodation, 4 nights in Seattle, 6 in San Francisco. And then in terms of activities, we're looking at 10 curriculum-linked workshops and activities, 5 cultural activities, 5 curriculum-linked guided tours. What this also includes is an LGT guide. So we have a tour director that accompanies us. So as well as being staffed by teachers from St. Peter's, there's also an LGT guide that I guess ensures we get to the experiences and ensures we get to where we need to be on time. It also includes the various guides that we will have for any of the local tours we do, and gratuities and tips for tour directors and for meals. And then transportation as well, and obviously this is the one that's subject to a bit of change because flight prices fluctuate all the time, but the inclusions will be the international flights, the domestic flight, the private coaches required and transfers to the airport and by private coach. So just a couple of notes on the tour, and this is one that these are all very important notes. The passports for students undertaking the tour do need at least 6 months validity from return date. And it's the responsibility of parents to ensure and understand the visa requirements of the destination country are met. And if you require a visa or if you're unsure, there is some support that we can provide to assist you. But please ensure you have enough time to apply for a visa, and which we will need to attend the US. Safety management system that LGT has, and you can see outlined below that the coaches have undergone a safety audit, as have the hotels. The activities are subject to the general risk assessment for LGT, and there's a pre-departure meeting that will occur 4 to 6 weeks before the travel to actually prepare students and teachers that are undertaking the travel. Just a little bit of extra information. There are exclusions. So the price does not include travel insurance. This is not provided by LGT, but it is mandatory. And under our school travel policy, there is some amount of cover in terms of travel insurance. But when I release the information pack tomorrow morning, I will include the policy in that so you can see what is covered in our travel insurance. Personal spending money is not included, so any extras that you're wanting to bring to make purchases will need to be brought with students, and any meals not specified in the inclusion section. There is a really important note about medications, so any relevant medical history, and of course we have that at school, but also if you are attending the tour, there will be some further, I guess, guidance from you required. But this should be given to the tour leader. Medications must be taken in the student's carry-on bag when flying and travelling. And then each student, along with their parent and guardian, should note that there is a participant responsibility clause in our terms and conditions. These need to be reviewed and agreed to prior to travel. So again, an information pack for those people that are interested will go out with a couple of documents for you to sign, and I will release the policy in the information pack that I put out tomorrow. Okay. How to secure a place, and then we might move to some questions because I'm sure there will be a few out there. And what I'll do, I'll go through this last slide and then I'll invite Marcus up to the stage to answer any questions. I do have a roving mic as well, so I'll be out in the audience to get to you with the microphone. So how we're securing a place. The information pack will come out tomorrow during the day. I will aim to have it to you as soon as possible. So with this information pack, I actually need to wait for the recording of this video to include it in there. I will have that to you as soon as possible, so as soon as this video recording is released. In the information pack will be an expression of interest form that will go live at 9 a.m. on next Monday. So I will ensure that that link becomes live then, and that will be the sign up. Please do submit early if you are interested. So I'm going to do these, the offers of place based on the order of expressions of interest. There will be a confirmation email if you are offered a place by the 22nd of August, so that's next Friday. And then the first deposit due will be the following week to secure your spot. And there'll be a payment timeline, approximately 4 payments. And what we're looking at as a final approximate cost, and this is subject to some change, is $11,500. And that's flights, transportation, the tour itself. Please just be aware, if you are interested, submitting an expression of interest is not a guarantee of place, because we will be going on the basis of how quickly people put their expression of interest in. Submitting the expression of interest does not necessarily guarantee a place. I might invite Marcus to the stage just to introduce himself and then throw to the audience for any questions.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Max. Our company is thrilled to be able to deliver this program with St Peter's Lutheran this next year. There's a great opportunity for you to ask any questions about the tour, about any of the anything really to do with some of the activities, the supply relationships we have, the accommodation, the air, flights, getting into America as well. I'm sure there'll be probably a few questions about that, so don't be shy. Ask away and Max will come and see you with a microphone. While some of you are working up some questions, our company, Latitude Group Travel, of which I'm Managing Director, we run between 25 and 30 trips to the US each year. This particular program, the Business and Entrepreneur program, is a fully bespoke program designed with the school around some of the key learning requirements that Max showed up on the value proposition screen earlier. We're excited to deliver it. We have some amazing experiences for the students to look forward to.
Sorry, just a question here was actually for me. It was just about the dates for this one. So the dates are the mid-year holidays next year, so during the June-July school break. From memory, we depart on the Saturday after the school ends and then get back in that second week of the holidays. But in the information pack, I will put the exact dates in there. I thought I had included in the original email, but if I haven't, I will put them up there.
I might anticipate a couple of questions if that's okay, Max, because we normally get asked about accommodation. The properties that we use on all our programs have been visited by us, by a product team or by myself personally. The students will be in twin or triple share rooms and the rooming list will be given to us by the school. Everybody has their own beds, their own bathrooms. We have breakfast every morning at each of the properties. We have a minimum 3 to 3.5 star standard property throughout. All the coaches that we use are also risk assessed by us. Not all of the coaches in the US have seatbelts. We can't guarantee that, but the majority of them that we request, certainly they do their very best, our suppliers, that is, to give us coaches with seatbelts. We manage dietary requirements through our tour director. Max showed that up on the screen before, so we have a tour director accompanying this tour, and they work with the teachers to manage dietary requirements, medical requirements, etc., but particularly dietaries in regards to meals.
was on the wrong side for that question.
You need two microphones.
Yeah. Okay.
But so it sounds like an amazing tour. Thank you for proposing it and planning it. What is the plan to prepare the kids for it? Like, what are they? Is it just like a tour, a holiday, or are they going to be doing pre-work at school to get the most out of it?
Yeah. That's a good question. So in terms of a pre-departure program, I've started reaching out to a couple of St. Peter's old scholars, and I guess that was probably the way I envisioned it going, in that there would be a few months lead up where students started focusing on what entrepreneurship looks like for them, and then seeing that play out in the real world. But certainly there will be a pre-departure program that's pretty rigorous, and a post-tour program as well that has some recap of it. But a very good question, thank you.
Yeah, this is probably a follow-on question actually, which is what are they actually doing when they get there? The activities, how have they been lined up, and on like the nuts and bolts of the actual activities, really.
Good to start there, and then I can kind of chime in as well.
Sure. So there's a number of unique experiences on this particular itinerary that are unique to what the school has requested in terms of the entrepreneur side of the experience for the students. So they learn, for example, at Berkeley University, how to pitch a business, how to create a pitch deck, how to deliver that, the do's and don'ts around that, and then that's a full-day workshop. And then they get to attend a Founders Live event that late afternoon and evening, where they get to see startups pitching to investors. It's an amazing experience for young people to go through this. They don't get to pitch that night. They get to see startups pitching to investors. But the follow-up program when they come back to school is that they have their own time to work on their own pitch deck for their own business idea, and then pitch that back to the supplier that we use in the US at a time it's appropriate when working with the school. So it's not just a full day and then you forget about it. It's actually an ongoing project with which the students can work on, either individually or in teams, on a business idea that they might have, and work on that pitch deck and learn the do's and don'ts about how to essentially pitch, to investors for whatever business idea that they might have. We had a school do it last year, and it was the highlight of their trip.
And I guess I'll add to that as well. We've got our working itinerary at the moment that I guess has a couple of experiences in there. And I'm keen to see over the next couple of weeks, if we do go ahead, what we might be able to value add to these sorts of things. But certainly in terms of, a pre-departure program, having something in place that's structured leading up to it so that there's real value that comes out of the tour, and then a post-program is something that we're keen on for this. Oh, sorry.
Yourself. Is this the first time that this program is being offered at St. Peter's? Yes, right, okay. And is there something, are we role modeling any of the schools, or are we bringing in these experiences validated from other schools? You said we are one of the schools offering this kind of thing, so has this been sort of measured and all of that? So if you could share some insights, that will be good.
Marcus, do you want to? Yeah.
Sure. This is a relatively new tour focus for some of Australia's leading independent schools and faith schools, there's no doubt. This is our third business and entrepreneur trip that we will be running. The most recent was an independent school in Melbourne, a boys' school, who went across last year, a group of 27 boys and 4 teachers. They followed a lot of what was on this particular itinerary. The feedback from the teachers was outstanding. The school is going again in September next year, and we held their information night a couple of weeks ago. The demand for this type of tour focus is something that's really exciting to us because, referring to Max's introduction, It aligns with a lot of school values and a lot of the future learning requirements within schools, creative thinking, how to create business ideas, how to work with people, how to communicate, and really getting an idea of what the future looks like from a work perspective for young people leaving school looking to study different in different areas, and really understanding the creative side of business and what's required from having an idea to actually integrating that into a real, iterating that, I should say, into an actual business.
Just pass that one down.
Yeah, hi. It says not every students, if they've submitted an EOI, expression of interest, is guaranteed a place. Is that going to be assessed by the school who would get the most benefit out of this?
For this model, we have basically gone with, as you get your expression of interest in, that you'll be listed in that order, and then students that fall outside the first 30 will be waitlisted in case any drop out in the first 30. So we did consider a different model, but I guess just based on the nature of something like this, we figured people that were signing up for something like this would be the ones that get value out of it. Get my steps up tonight.
Thank you. I got a couple of small questions, all sort of related. So firstly, we've got 30 students going. How many teachers that are coming from St. Peter's will be going? What's the ratio?
Yeah, so the ratio for 30 students will be taken 4 teachers because we're international, our ratios are smaller. And to be virtual, obviously, there is a movement around international relations.
So, yeah, four St. Peter's teachers. Right, and plus the LGBT tour groups. Right, and who's accountable for the students' well-being and health over there and safety?
The teachers are. So the teachers are ultimately accountable for the well-being of students over there, and that's why we take 4. So essentially, our ratio is 3 to 10 with an emergency teacher should anything.
Okay, thank you.
I might quickly add there too that all our tour directors are working with children checked or police checked, depending on the jurisdiction. They're all experienced in working with school groups. They are either employed by us or contracted by us, and they go through a very strict, very tight onboarding and training program, including first aid. They are specialists in what they do, and they are located in those areas. So you have the same tour director from start to the finish of the tour, from Seattle through to San Francisco. So you don't have Ryan in San Francisco and Tim in Seattle, for example. So it's the same person. They develop a relationship with the teachers. It's actually something that the teachers really appreciate, because their responsibility, as Max has said, is to keep an eye on the students and make sure the learning outcomes are delivered. The logistic support from behind the scenes, really, it's quite seamless, that the tour directors provide is excellent. But they're also local experts and local guides. So if there's coach travel, they will be on the microphone explaining things out the window to the students as well. So they are not just counting heads or an extra head counter, they are adding a lot of value to the program.
Thank you. I've got 2 questions. First of all, what's the time frame for those 4 payments?
So that's spread out, the final one due 1st of April next year.
And the second question is that if there is, the circumstances is changed for any reason, like visa, because now the visa period for US for some nations are different. So what would happen? We have to cancel. Is it refundable or not?
Would you like me to answer that?
Yes.
Yeah. So we have 4 specific payment plans, as you know, but we will work with the school to make sure that nobody is significantly out of pocket. We understand there is a significant deposit amount that's being asked for, $1,000. Our terms and conditions do say that once you cancel after deposit is paid, you lose your deposit. I've already spoken to Max about this today and said that we understand the circumstances. Sometimes they're out of families' control in relation to ESTAs and visas and so forth. In those circumstances, we would certainly look to be able to refund you as much of that $1,000 as we can, depending on the work that's gone into the tour to that point. It's hard for me to say exactly, but what's most important to us is having the relationship with the school, not about a money grab. If I could be so blunt as to say it that way. Certainly, as the tour becomes closer to departure, the terms and conditions, like any contract, apply. So, as I say, we will work with the families in those circumstances. It's a really good point that you raise, however, about the visa situation, and if you don't mind me touching on that point a little bit now. If students are travelling on a passport that may require a visa, certainly I would encourage you as soon as possible to get that process underway, because there just seems now in the last few months to be greater delays in that process. We flashed up quickly on the screen there the name of the visa company. If you're not sure, I'll repeat it. It's cibtvisas.com.au, cibtvisas.com.au. Max will have it in his follow-up from tonight, I have no doubt. That they are a partner of ours, not a financial partner, purely just a travel partner. We recommend that you go onto their website and have a look at the requirements for your particular situation. And they charge for their services. I'll be upfront about that, of course, they're a business, but they fast-track situations. And we've had students who have realised in very short notice that they needed a visa, and CIBT visas have helped them out within, a 14 working day time frame. It's been fantastic. So I do encourage you to go on there and have a look if that's the case.
Hi. I was just wondering, I don't think it's possible, but is it possible for a student to travel on frequent flyer points for the trip? I know it's all packaged up, so I'm guessing it's probably not possible.
Unfortunately, we can't break a group fare into an individual frequent flyer point student versus the group. They must travel on the group PNR. I appreciate the question though. What I can say is that they can earn frequent flyer points on this if you give us the frequent flyer number. That raises a question about the flights, so I might touch on that as well. We are in the process of getting flight quotes. In fact, I shouldn't say that's not quite true. Once we have the final expression of interest and we know the numbers, we will then move to securing the quotes which we will provide to the school. I will say it's most likely that you will fly on either United or Qantas. At this point, we will put the itinerary to the school and the prices and all the other relevant information around the flights for the school to make the decision. But we fly everybody together on the one same group booking, and the terms and conditions around the group booking aren't really any different to an individual booking, except to say that in terms of check-in times and things like that, the American airports are pretty strict on that. So, again, one of the benefits of having a tour director is we'll make sure we get you to the airport on time to check in for your flight.
Okay, so my question, I'm not sure if anyone can answer that, is once the place is offered, the students or the parents sign a contract, is that directly sign a contract individually with the tour company, or the school actually sign a contract?
I'll go here and then come back. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. 2 questions. One is Australian passport shouldn't affect, so should be pretty straightforward. There's no visa requirement, right?
That's correct.
Okay, just need to log on and with some $30 or something to get a VEO or something?
The ESTA, the online travel application, yes, for the US, which lasts for 2 years, by the way, not just so you know, but it takes generally around 6 to 10 working days to have that approved. So you could have that, you could apply for that if you're appointed as place on the tour in September or October, and have plenty, that will be plenty of time, of course.
All right, thank you. Second is that I heard normally in year 10 there is a ski trip to New Zealand at the same time. How can if the student would like to take both, to join both, then what happens?
Unfortunately, they have to choose between this one or ski trip. So yes, there are tours that are taking place, and I was joking with someone today that the Brisbane International Airport will be like St. Peter's campus during the break. So during the break, there is a New Zealand ski tour. There's also a Borneo tour, which I know Year 10 students have been offered as an opportunity. Unfortunately, they do have to decide what they would like to do during that break.
Hi, this question is just an extension from the previous question regarding the contract. I'd just like to understand what's the clear difference between the responsibilities between your company, the tour guide, and the school? Because I'm just trying to understand who's responsible for what, please. Thank you.
The school signs the booking contract with us, and the school's contract, the parents' and students' contract is with the school. It's probably the easiest way to explain it. We do run certain tours with certain schools where parents contract with us directly, which is complicated. I won't go into the reasons as to why that is now, but in the case of this particular business and entrepreneurship tour, I'll repeat that we contract with the school with the final numbers, including teachers travelling, and the school signs that contract on your behalf. Down the front.
So, I've got two questions. Are the students allowed to carry their phones?
That's a question for the school, sir.
And what about the passports? Do they keep the passports with them, or they stay with the teachers in turn? That's right. No worries. Thank you.
At the pre-departure night, which is about 4 to 6 weeks prior, which will be, I guess, around June, end of May, June next year, we will run through some of these really important travel points around your passport, looking after your passport. We did have a school in Europe who had a teacher's passport and a student passport stolen in the July holidays, and believe me, that was not a pleasant experience for the school to go through, nor the individuals concerned. So, and there's pickpockets in Paris, which are pretty adept at getting what they want. So the school will have a risk assessment plan in place for managing very important documents like that, I'm sure. But we run through important steps like making sure you have a colour photocopy of the passport and things. Should something go wrong, it's travel. We have to expect sometimes that things don't always run exactly to plan, and we need to take the relevant precautions for that.
Hi. My question is, we followed the Coral tour the end of last year and then early this year into England, Germany and Austria. I just wondered whether families can tag along with this tour as well, or they can't.
I'll let Max answer that one.
A consideration we hadn't thought of yet. I will have to get back to you on that one about where we stand on that. There are some hoops to jump through for parents coming on tour, even if they're not attached to the official tour, but are, following around just in terms of blue cards and checks. But I will get back to you on that question if that's all right. Yeah, to see them. Yeah, okay. I will get back to you on that one, and I'll include the information in the information pack. Yeah. Ask the question. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Any other questions?
Can I just ask if consideration given to Year 10 students ahead of year 9, and if those doing entrepreneurial studies will get a preference. I know you said first come, first serve this time, but maybe in future.
Yeah, possibly in future. For this one, it definitely is a first come, first served. Otherwise, yeah, we figured that's the fairest way to do it for this one, but certainly we can consider where it fits for year 10s in future.
Just adding on to that first question I put through. So what happens if some families decide that they want to be in the US for a holiday at that particular time, and then at the end of your tour in San Francisco, they then take their child and they move on to somewhere else? How does that work?
I will answer that one and throw to you, Max. So thanks for your question. It's a great question. Group airfares do allow a certain number of deviations per group. So let's say you were to get 30 students, they would allow 3 deviations on that fare. So in terms of airfare rules, it's possible, but most importantly, it's a school decision on whether they will allow deviations. So I know it's not the perfect answer right now, but I would throw that back to the school, and I'm sure they'll communicate that in the next week or so. If there is a situation where a family wants to holiday or extend on, we do get that quite regularly.
And I just thought I'd just share the information because I'm sharing our experience anyway.
Yeah.
Because we sort of took our daughter when they ended the tour in Austria to go to France.
Yeah.
But what we did was we had to pay for the whole tour, and after the tour ended and all the costs were calculated, then if there was a possibility of a refund for just the return airfares, we got whatever the school offered in the end. That was because they also use a tour company, so
yeah.
And we couldn't debate what it was. So I just thought I'd just put it out there.
Yeah, I understand. But the conversation that Max and I can have after tonight, and without avoiding the question from a travel company's perspective, it's the first and foremost is if the school allows deviations, because there are potentially complications with that, depending on each circumstance. Not necessarily, but potentially so.
And I'll get back to you on that one as well, sorry.
Yeah. I have to ask this because she'll kill me if I don't. Will there be an opportunity for students to go souvenir shopping and things like that? Great.
Most definitely, yes, some souvenir shopping.
Yes, we make sure we allow time for that, certainly. One thing I will anticipate here, and there's been some great questions tonight, and thank you for those. One question I often get asked when I attend these information nights for US tours is, and it's generally the first question actually, is have you had any trouble with students getting into the country or pulled aside at US border control? I can answer that with a fairly decent sample size now, as we've had 5 groups travel to the US since January this year. We have only had 1 student taken into an interview room, and that student was allowed to have a teacher accompany him in this case, and he was asked further questions because he had a passport that was a photo taken when he was younger, and he had matured somewhat since that photo, and they wanted just to make sure that that photo was the true representation of that particular young man. So it was the teacher I spoke to last week, and he said it was a 20-minute, very cordial, very respectful discussion in that meeting room, and they were allowed to have an adult present. So I'm sure that won't happen because it's a yes sir, no ma'am situation, and if you're spoken to, you answer. But apart from that, you just smile, or not even smile, just, it's not obviously a time for grandstanding. You just ask questions if you're asked, and through you go.
Thank you so much. It might be a funny question. Can family members visit the children in US?
I think that was a question that Max had a version of earlier, and that's the school's
I will
decision.
get back to you on that one. I can't see any reason why not, but I will return to you on that question if that's all right. Yep.
This question is about free time. So I know that in between during the excursion, the students have their free time. how do you manage that? Because I know in Coral they let them out on the street, they can go and shop, they can eat, they can, so how it was managed with Coral was they were given spending money and some of them had their own, but they had to go in groups of either 2s or 3s, actually 3s or 4s. And then they would have to, I think they used teams, and then they had to relay back to the teachers where they were, so that, because you're in a big place and it's easy to get lost. So I just want to know, how do you guys manage it?
I'll leave that one to Max. I think that's a...
Yeah, and with any times like that, because we're in a different place, a different country, we would maintain our ratio of 1 to 10. So if students were in free time, it would be in a 1 to 10 ratio with a teacher accompanying them for wherever they're going. Yes, yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah. 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 No, I think given the nature of this and I guess the age groups we're taking as well, the 1 to 10 ratio will be the rule.
All right. No more questions?
Yeah.
So will they get like a tour uniform? Because I know with Coral, they all had a uniform, so it was easy to identify. When we were out on the street, because there's a St. Peter's kid. Even when we were in London, for instance, and it was New Year's, or before New Year's, it was really full, really congested. But you could pick out the St. Peter's kids, wherever they were. So I just wondered if you guys were doing the same.
Not a uniform per se, but one of the, I guess, pre-departure activities we had discussed was that part of their, getting together and working in teams would be that that they would design tour shirts in different teams, and then we'd pick a winning design as a tour shirt they could wear while out. All right. If there are no more questions, we might leave it there for the night. So like I said, tomorrow, as soon as I possibly can, I will have the recording, the information pack and the slides to you. The expression of interest forms document will come in that pack, but it'll only be live at 9 a.m. on Monday morning. If you have any questions, I'll include my email in the information pack. Please don't hesitate to reach out either via email or phone call. I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. And I'm hoping to see as many of you in the expression of interest as possible. Thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thanks, everybody.